Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and iOS 27 has many new features and changes. However, many people won't have the option to use Siri or just don't want to use AI in general. So I wanted to go over the top 10 features to try with no AI. Now the first thing is I have the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the iPhone 11, all the way back to the oldest supported device to the newest supported device. And so I thought I'd show you that you can do all of these features on both of these devices. So the first thing has to do with separate volumes. Within settings, if we go down to sound and haptics, you'll see that we have new options for ringtone, alarms and timers, as well as alerts and system sounds. This can be found on old devices and new devices alike, and all you need to do to adjust them separately finally is turn off the option here, and now you can adjust the ringtone volume, the actual alerts and system sounds, along with alarms completely separately with different sliders. If you want to leave it as default like it's always been on iPhone, just leave these two little options on and that goes away and it functions like it always has. The next thing has to do with AirPods. Connecting AirPods to your iPhone, give it a second to connect here, and once they're connected, we'll go into our options. Within our AirPod options, if we scroll down, you'll see the option for audio and routing. If we go under equalizer, with iOS 27, we now have the option to customize an EQ. So if we go to custom here, you'll see a song that's here. We can then play it. So if I take one of my AirPods out, place it in my ear, go ahead and play the song, I can listen to it, and then adjust it in real time as it's showing me a waveform here, what the sound looks like, at least from a visual perspective, and then I can adjust the low, mids, and highs however I'd like. We can of course switch it back to recommended, but we now have the EQ option, which is something many people have wanted for a long time. Again, it goes across all devices if you have AirPods connected to your device. The next feature is probably one of the favorite features of iOS 27, and if we go into settings, we go under appearance, then liquid glass, you can customize how much glass there is now, from a much more glass look all the way over to maybe a tinted glass look. And they've got these little images here so you can slide by, see what it looks like, and again, it's on both devices. So if we go into our settings on the iPhone 11, you'll see the same slider here where we can have more of a glass look, and we can have more of a frosted glass look if we choose. So whatever works best for you can turn that on or off, and there's additional features within accessibility that you can make this even less glass-like. Now, if you use Find My a lot, but you don't want someone tracking your location for a set amount of time, you can now do that easily. If we go into Find My, and within Find My, if we tap the three-dot menu next to someone's name under the People tab, and then under My Location, you now have the option to hide your location. So if we go ahead and tap Hide Location, it will then be hidden for up to a period of time, and it will only let them know where you last were once you tap that icon, or the option. So it says hiding until tomorrow at 4 a.m., and again, they won't get any updates on this if you move locations, and then it will start allowing it tomorrow at 4 a.m. Another update has to do with your widgets. Of course, we've had widgets for a while, but there's some new options here. So if we press and hold, maybe add a new widget here. Within widgets, if maybe I scroll down to where we have weather, we now have additional sizes. We have an extra large full screen page that we can add for widgets. So just about every Apple app supports this with weather, calendar, and many others. And again, you can see this on iPhone 11 where I've added the weather widget already. So you can just add this, it will add to a page, and now you've got full screen weather or whatever other widget you would prefer. So again, if we press and hold on the calendar, you'll see there's a full screen option here as well. So if we tap on it, let's see if it'll change to it. Sometimes it won't let you do it right away, but we can add it in another way. So again, with a calendar, if you want a full screen version, you've got a couple different options here, and we can then add that widget if you'd like to do that. So again, many different options for that, and then you could resize it if you don't want such a large widget as well. Another thing we can do has to do with the Apple Wallet. If we go into the Apple Wallet app, within Wallet, if you go to Add to Wallet, you now have a new option to create a pass. This allows you to create a digital version of whatever you may have physically. So maybe you're a member to a gym, maybe to a different food location, something like that that has a QR code with maybe an identifier card. You can go to create a pass manually and then create something for a membership, standard, or event. If we go into membership, you can then add a code such as a QR code, and you can remove fields that you wouldn't use. So this is very helpful if maybe they don't have an ID available yet that's maybe in an app or something like that. And once you've created it, you'll see there's nothing here because I didn't fill it out, but you'll have it in a separate card that's right within your Wallet app that you can access quickly. If we go into our Photos app, there's another option here specifically for video. This is a video I took some time ago. You'll see this is actually iOS 12.3 beta, and if maybe we want to capture a screen capture of this in particular, we can now do that. Tap your three-dot menu, and then it says Save Video Frame as Photo. We can tap on that, and now we've saved it as a photo within our photos. So if we go back, you'll see under Recently Saved, we now have a screen capture directly from our photo in the highest quality possible. So again, that's now available across all devices and doesn't require AI. Also to do with photos is if we go into the camera this time, there's a new menu here. So we have some of the quick options at the top, and of course this is dependent on the amount of cameras you have and will vary across devices, but you'll see here depending on the camera with a Pro Max of the latest phone versus what we currently have, if we tap on photo, we've got additional options here. So depending again on the camera system that you have everything from your flash to live photos to timer, exposure, filter, aspect ratio, and night mode. And then additional options on the Pro devices where you can maybe have different codecs and things like that. And you'll see here where we could select RAW on the Pro Max or our resolution as well. And again, this carries across to other things. So if we bring this down here, maybe this time go over to video, again, bring it down, go over to video, tap on video, it carries across to the device. So depending on how many options you have, you'll see things such as dual capture for the 17 Pro series, 4K 60, depending on what you can record, or in this case, 4K 60 on this phone. The iPhone 11 can do that as well. But again, we don't have many options such as action mode, dual capture, and others. If we go into messages and maybe we want to text someone, but sometimes we accidentally hit this little voice dictation icon, or maybe we want to change this to use voice recordings, we can now do that or turn it off entirely. So if you want to dictate a message, just tap on it and then you can use voice dictation, or we can get rid of that entirely. So let me delete this. We'll go over into our settings here, and within settings, you'll see if we scroll down, there's a new option to show in text field. We have the option to start dictation, record audio, or none. If we switch it to record audio, you'll see the little audio icon there, and it says tap and hold to record and send audio. So if we press and hold, we're now recording audio, and then we could send that if we want. Or if we don't want anything there at all, we can switch it over to none, and it disappears entirely. So again, the same is true on all phones this year. We've got the little icon there. If we go into our message settings, we'll just use this shortcut. I'll link in the description. And again, if we scroll down, show in text field, I prefer the start dictation option, but you can change it to whatever you'd like this time around. Now, another thing Apple has added in iOS 27 has to do with using your phone in landscape. I think this is a great addition. However, it still does not have cover flow in music, for example. But if we rotate into landscape, we now have a landscape version of music. This is true throughout many apps now. So for example, if we go over here, maybe we'll go into podcasts. And within podcasts, again, if we rotate to landscape, again, we've got a new landscape mode. You'll find this throughout the OS. It's something that they keep adding to and maybe hints at the future of iOS. But at this time, I'm glad to see they're adding quite a few different changes with landscape mode, as I know many people have wanted those back. And you'll also see it in apps such as weather. So even weather has a landscape mode. So if maybe you're using standby mode, something like that, you could then use it alongside this weather app as well, and then use it in landscape mode. Now, if we go to the lock screen, you'll see here that we have our now playing dialog that's here showing what's playing. We can now swipe that directly off the screen if we'd like. Also, we can modify the lock screen a little bit more. So if we press and hold, go to customize, we can now get rid of this clock here. So if we want to get rid of it, we can then get rid of it with this little button here, and then it shrinks up next to the date. So if you want to get rid of the large clock, you can do that and then replace it with something else. So again, you can adjust that fully just like you can on any iPhone this time around. And so you get the same customization across all the devices this time around. And I think that's pretty great considering the iPhone 11 is quite old at this point, but it does seem to work just fine. So you'll see there, it's working. Maybe not as smooth as ProMotion, but it does work. You can customize it, change your icons even to clear or whatever works best for you. So again, clear may make it a little bit more laggy, but you do have the option there this time around, and it's quite nice to be able to use that however you'd like with it customized. So again, this hasn't filled in. We'll give it a moment. There we go. But you'll see it's nice and customized however you'd like. There's also many performance improvements with things such as AirDrop, opening apps, battery improvements, and more. If we go into music, for example, it's quite quick on both of them. If I go to maybe AirDrop this wallpaper, we'll go to AirDrop, we'll AirDrop it just like this. It immediately shows up, we tap accept, and then it transfers it over. So you'll see how much faster that is compared to iOS 26. There should be battery improvements, refinements throughout, everything from opening the camera, and much more. So I think this is a great improvement this year, and not all features rely on Siri and Apple Intelligence. Of course, some of the editing features that you get with Siri and Apple Intelligence supported devices is definitely helpful, but they're not things you need to use even on the higher end devices. So just keep that in mind. They get pretty much all of the same customizations and major features and changes throughout. So that's the top 10 features to try in iOS 27 that don't include AI or Siri or Apple Intelligence, and hopefully that gives you a better understanding of what you can do on your device, whether it's supported with Apple Intelligence or not, or whether you're using an iPhone 11, iPhone 12, or something that's just not the latest device. You can do this across iPad as well, and all of those same features pretty much carry across the ecosystem. Let me know what your favorite feature of iOS 27 is in the comments below, and of course I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.